Hello Absurda fans, and welcome back to Release Schedule Sunday, where we take a look at what games are coming out for the next week of Sunday 17th to Saturday the 23rd of February in the UK. It's a busy week this week in terms of releases, so I think we should just dive right in. First up, on Tuesday the 19th of February, we have Renaissance Heroes coming out for the PC. Now, I hadn't heard about this, but apparently it's a 16th century MMO FPS, which is set in Renaissance Europe. Weaponry includes realistic and fantasy weapons based on Leonardo da Vinci's designs, so that should be fairly interesting. There are 4 different characters with different combat specializations and storylines, so there is some sort of narrative involved in this game. There are 3 playable modes: the free-for-all, team battle, and one-on-one duels, which sounds pretty fun. Various options are available within those modes, for example rifle only, melee only, or hyperspeed, and I believe there are plenty more as well. There are 8 maps at the moment, based on historical locations, and daily quests and over 100 unlockable achievements. So there's quite a lot going on in this MMO FPS. So, if you fancy yourself some Renaissance action with shooting people with Da Vinci guns, check it out. That's it for Tuesday. Moving on to Wednesday, the 20th of February, we have Ragnarok Odyssey coming out for the PS Vita. It's a real-time action RPG that involves all the usual RPG staples like items, health, crafting, magic, and a class system, but there is no leveling system in this game. Instead of a leveling system, Odyssey uses a card system, and cards are equipped to clothing and armour to provide stat boosts and class-specific abilities. Upgraded armour and clothing have increased card capacity, so you can equip higher cost cards or more cards. That's how that works. Missions usually consist of collecting items or killing enemies, and there are 6 classes to choose from: the Sword Warrior, the Hammersmith, Mage, Assassin, Hunter, and Cleric. Now, I can't tell you what each of those does, so you'll have to look that up on your own. Cards are found in shops or dropped by defeated enemies, as you'd expect, and so far it's received mostly positive reviews. So, if you got yourself a Vita, fancy yourself some RPG card-based action, then go ahead, pick it up on Wednesday. And nothing on Thursday, but Friday we have a huge selection to choose from. We'll start with the big uns. Coming out Friday 22nd of February is Crysis III for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 and PC. This is a sci-fi FPS, the 3rd in the Crysis series, and it's set 24 years after Crysis II, which is quite a sizable time difference. And the player takes on the role of Prophet as he returns to New York. Now, I've had a look around and I can't find that much information about it online. There are no reviews, very few previews, and this is odd considering that the game is set to release in the States on Tuesday the 19th. Now, players should be a bit cautious about this, considering that the same thing, or a similar thing, happened recently with Aliens Colonial Marines, which had a review embargo set until the day before release. So, exercise caution. I'm aware that the Crysis games have been good in past, so hopes are high. I don't think they'll be mucking up the series anytime soon, but just so you know. All I can find out is it's going to feature same old enemies you've been fighting. I believe they'll throw in some new ones, and you'll use guns and a bow. The bow has been everywhere, so everyone knows that you'll be using a badass bow. It does look pretty cool. So, that's coming out Friday. Also coming out Friday is another big release, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance for the PlayStation 3 and 360. And the frankly stupidly named Rising Revengeance, I do not like that name, is a sword-wielding action game where you play as Raiden, the cyborg ninja. This is set 4 years after Metal Gear Solid 4, so it's not, as some people have been reporting I believe, set between 3 and 4, so you can find out what happened to Raiden. This comes afterwards. Players get to take control of Raiden as he slashes through enemies, the environment, and melons. Yes, you can chop up melons in this game, as was in several trailers. But players should know it's not a stealth game. It is focused far more on action. Check out some of the trailers if you want to be sure, and exercise caution when buying this because it's not like your traditional Solid Snake Metal Gear games. So, Raiden will have access, in addition to his sword, many sub-weapons. I believe I've seen him wielding a rocket launcher, daggers, I'm sure he'll have some guns, I don't know, extensively. But he can also parry attacks even when he's not facing people, so that'll keep the combat nice and smooth, hopefully, keep the action cranked way up to 11. And he'll also have a stealth mode called Ninja Dash, which increases Raiden's speed and lets him climb certain areas. This is described as a stealth mode, but from the actual blurb that comes with it, I don't see how that's particularly stealthy. We'll see. Key feature of play is Zandatsu. I'm not sure if that's being translated for the Western release or not, but this is where you cut through enemies and take parts, energy, ammo, information, items from their dismembered bodies. This is how Raiden keeps his cyborg body charged, and I assume how he picks up things to help him with the missions. When you complete a mission, you get a rank, just like the new Devil May Cry, it goes all the way up to S. And you also get points, depending on your performance during the last mission. You can use these points to buy upgrades for Raiden's equipment, which is pretty cool. So there will be an element of upgrading in the game. Now the story focuses on Raiden, who, upon getting his ass kicked by a group of cyborgs in some PMC that I can't remember the name of, Raiden is given a completely more badass cyborg body, and he goes after these evil cyborgs, and a whole lot of very over-the-top action ensues. If you've seen the trailers, you will know just how over-the-top it can be. So far it's received mostly positive reviews, but there are some worries about the new direction that Rising takes the Metal Gear Solid series. A lot of people may be confused by the heavy focus on action rather than stealth. This could be a turn-off to some people, whereas it's going to completely entice a very different crowd. If you like Raiden as a character, and if you like action games such as Bayonetta, the new Devil May Cry, things like that, this will probably be more up your alley. I personally didn't play much of the original Metal Gear series. I might check out Rising Revengeance, but we'll see. It does look pretty good, looks very over the top. Check it out if you want, coming out Friday. Also coming out Friday, another fairly big release, is Persona 4 Golden for the Vita. Now this was originally released as Persona 4 for the PS2. It's a Japanese RPG that mixes RPG and sim gameplay. Now this has got very high praise in the past when it was a PS2 title, and there's a lot of excitement regarding its port to the Vita. I'll get into the extra things that you'll find on Golden just a bit later. But to go over the basics, you play as a teenage boy, and it takes place over the course of a Japanese school year. And you can attend school, talk to other students, go to a part-time job to earn money if you want. But you will also be able to enter a place called TV World, where the more RPG elements of the gameplay occur. Time also plays an important factor, as certain activities can only be engaged on certain days of the week, at certain times of the day, even depending on what the weather conditions are like. So, keep an eye on the time if you're playing the game, and I'm sure anyone who's played Persona 4 is well familiar with this. The player must rescue friends who have disappeared into the TV world, and they're going to investigate mysterious murders that have left victims hanging from TV aerials and the like. It's pretty macabre stuff when you consider it's about Japanese schoolboys and his friends. There's an element of romance in it. I'm aware there are the usual JRPG staples. There's a weird teddy bear character, I'm not sure. I've seen a lot of pictures of out of context dialogue from the game, and it looks hilarious. So, it might be worth a pickup just for that. Moving on, where the persona part comes from. Each party member has a persona, which is a manifestation of their true self, which they use in battle. And each persona has its own skills and strengths and weaknesses to certain attacks. The persona gains experience from battle, and they gain skills as they gain levels. RPG stuff, pretty simple. But the player can create new personas in something called the Velvet Room, which sounds oddly pornographic to me, but it's Japan, so. But the player can switch between personas during battle, which is pretty cool. You'll also, as you wander around the world doing your sim bit, add party members to your party. They'll also fight for you. And then you can interact with them, get your social rankings up, and they'll become more powerful through that in battle. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on in Persona 4 Golden. As I said before, it's got very positive reviews before as a PS2 game, and a lot of people are looking forward to it, especially in the RPG or JRPG world, or fandom, I suppose. The Vita version actually expands on the original game. It was originally going to be a PSP Go game, which meant they would have had to cut stuff out, but they held off, decided to make a Vita game, and that meant they could add things, which is fantastic. That's what a good, several years later port should be. You're going to see new story elements, a new character, additional personas, outfits, spoken lines, and cutscenes. So they're really cramming a lot more stuff into this, which is fantastic. If you're interested, check it out. There's a lot of journalists out there putting out their own previews of the game and their own thoughts, and it's coming out Friday. One to watch. Also coming out Friday is Dynasty Warriors 7 Empires for the PS3. If you've played a Dynasty Warriors game before, you'll know what you're in for. Killing an implausible number of soldiers with even more implausible weapons. I'm got to be honest, I don't really know what major differences there are between Dynasty Warriors 7 Empires and Dynasty Warriors 7 that came before, and there was another edition of Dynasty Warriors 7 that came before. Not sure. The only conclusive thing I found was it adds a new character. Other than that, don't really know what the difference is. But if you want to pick it up, it's out Friday. Also coming out Friday is Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed for the PC. And yeah, this is basically Mario Kart Sega Edition, and it's basically the PC port of this. It's come out before for consoles and various other things beforehand. It's just making its way to the PC now, so enjoy that if you want to play it. Also coming out Friday, I told you there were a lot. Also coming out Friday is the Sudden Strike Anthology for the PC. So the Sudden Strike series is a World War II RTS game series, and Sudden Strike Anthology packages together Sudden Strike, Sudden Strike 2, and Sudden Strike Forever. So if you're a fan of World War II and a fan of RTS games, you might want to pick it up. Also coming out is History Legends of War Pattern for PS3, 360, and PS Vita, and I believe the PC. I've made a mistake in my notes here. This is another World War II game. This is a turn-based strategy game. God, I don't know what's going on with my mouth today. And the player assumes the role of George S. Patton during the late stages of the war. You'll have a chance to mess with the timeline as you can reach Berlin before the Soviet army does. Again, if you're a fan of World War II games and you like turn-based strategy, might be one to check out. Finally, the last game coming out on Friday is Crash City Mayhem for the 3DS. This is a 3D driving game focused on missions rather than racing per se, to destroy a group of terrorists, or a terrorist syndicate. It's focusing on destroying stuff to get rewards, which is always fun because I tend to suck at racing, and apparently you can drive loads of different types of vehicles, such as mopeds, supercars, tanks are mentioned. If you want a bit of a fun time in vehicles for your 3DS, check it out. And that is it! God, this is a busy week for you guys, so let me know what you're looking forward to this week, let me know if I missed anything again, and as always, have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys later.